they're struggling with their own limiting beliefs, so they don't even know how to invite love into their own life. We think that we don't need each other, we're listening to too much Future, too much Drake, whatever, and then it gets to a point where it's like, oh, I'm whatever age, and then you realize like,
she belongs to the streets.
Oh, actually I'm lonely, or actually, you know, maybe I do want love in my life. Like everybody does, you know.
Situationship culture in modern times today is complained on by modern women, but it has been started, initiated, and maintained by modern women. So they blame men for having situationships when it's y'all that allow it, as per a dame by your feminist bosses and your feminist leaders. Gather around the table. We need to have a conversation. What is it that we need to converse about? Well, let's just hop down up into the video, okay? Shout out to my Instagram. This content was sent to me up there. This content creator, she goes by the name of Lynette Atkins, and she recently uploaded a video entitled Hookup Culture. It piqued my interest. I looked at a couple of minutes of this video, and I wanted to give my perspective to the things that she is saying. I think she gets some things incredibly right and some things incredibly wrong. So I wanted to have an honest conversation regarding this topic of hookup culture. But I think that the best place to start this conversation is actually another post that was sent to me on Instagram of Miss Rihanna herself, proclaiming this gem right here.
Fashion ick.
It's gonna sound hypocritical.
Now, if you didn't hear the reporter, she's at a fashion show, and the reporter asked her for her fashion icks. Listen to her answer.
But because I did so much in my life. I had my nipples out, I had my panties out. But now those are the things, like, I guess as a mom and like an evolved young lady, young, emphasis on young. It's just things that I just feel like I would never do, or I'm just like, oh my God, I really did that? Nips out.
Okay, an evolved young lady. There's things that she looks back at in her 20s as a fashion ick. Now, mind you, there's a running shot of some of the things that she was doing. She did way more than this. I actually remember there was a cover. You guys will let me know down in the comment box down below, but there was a magazine cover where she was completely topless on, right? These are some of the things that Rihanna did as she rose to fame, as she rose to prominence. One of the critiques that I've had regarding women such as Rihanna, Megan Thee Stallion, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, these different women, albeit they do much different types of music, is that they rode this feminist modern woman bandwagon of strengthen your power, of you being sexually liberated. And listen, it's not up to me that you sexualize me for what are the things that I have on. I'm a bad bee. I could do whatever it is that I want. You men are disgusting for look at me with my ass cheeks and my titties out. Now, once this lovely young woman becomes a mother, so much growth. I am just growing. I was young. Oh, forgive me. Actually, she's not even saying forgive me. She's just saying that she has an ick. Now, on this particular post, what I did do is that I responded. Now, this is a Shade Room post. And I responded not because I really give a shit to this degree, but I wanted to get a reaction or response out of other people that generally don't listen to me, just so I can put the feelers out there to check the way that I think about things and holding behavior like this responsible. Because whether or not you like it or not, yes, she is a young girl that is developing into the person that she would want to be within life. But there is no excuse for displaying yourself naked. See, there used to be a time period where you would look at naked women out in public and then you'd say, oh, I wonder how much her pussy cost. Why? Because she's an escort. Why? Because she's a prostitute. She wears the scarlet letter of whore. Therefore, you treat her as such, which is a lot different than looking at a modestly dressed, respectably dressed, dressing in a way where children are not going to look at you crazy and shrieks and ahs are going to be coming your way. You know, that type of way that seem to have gone away within modern society today. Those type of women you look at and you say, okay, let's go out on an official date where I might be considering you for a relationship. relationship because you're not dressed like this. Therefore, I'm not gonna put you in the thought hole bucket. You understand? There used to be that time period. So I wrote this comment just to put my damn feelers out there. All of these comments about growth, because I'm not gonna go through it. All of these comments are just women talking about, oh, Rihanna, oh, you've grown so much. This is what a mother should be. All of these comments about growth is the sister code not holding her ass accountable. Sold y'all the product of being sexually liberated and a boss bitch, but she got married while y'all are still single. Now, I will say, I did post this again for content, thinking I was probably going to do a reaction off of that because she's actually not married right now. But I just wanted to see, I just want to see how they were going to try to defend this, even though she's not married. Look at the very first comment that came. Now, trust me, we're going to get into this hookup culture discussion, but I think that it's important because when you look at images like this, this is the influencers that contribute to this image of hookup culture. Because of Rihanna's, thank you, Rihanna, you kept my dick exceptionally wet, not from you personally, okay? Exceptionally wet through your influence to these modern women when I was out on college campuses running amok. Thank you, I appreciate you. But as someone who could be a father one day, I look at your influence to my perhaps soon-to-be daughter, and I cast doubt and judgment. Anyway, what were some of the responses? Well, first, some knowledgeable men that probably follow me got up to the comment section first and said things such as, amen, ouch, the truth hurts sometimes, thank you, and they won't get it. Then after this, we get the modern woman conglomerate. This got like, I think 100 comments or something like that. But let's just look at the first one. What a weird take. How about she was young and rich and doing what young rich people do? Really? So because you are young and rich, somehow that then means that you show your titties. Oh, is that right? You show you're young and rich, you're successful, you have all of the money in the world, you have all of the success, you have all of the fame, therefore, show your thought box, show your areolas. Really? That's your baseline for success. Got it. She is now matured and is doing what mature people do, which is reflect, be accountable, and try to impart knowledge onto others. I'll tell you what, if my daughter chose to display herself like this, I would think that I have failed. But a lot of these women identify with like a story of a Rihanna and they groupie for this woman. They're unable to look at her actions without bias because they see their own failures within her. The difference is that she got popularized and famous for these different failures because within Hollywood, what is opposite from non-worldly, moral, and prudent, and modest earns you money. Let's keep going. What you did here is take a backhanded swipe at young folks and about learning about life. See, the thing is that I like rules. I like order. And one thing is for sure is that conducting yourself like a modern thought pocket is not going to get you any closer to a happy life that involves marriage into the future. You're going to have to change jurisdictions. You're going to have to change locations. You're going to have to rewrite what your history was. You're going to have to revise said history for a man of substance, worth, and value to take you absolutely serious, to actually want you for you. But if this was your social media profile, or if this is how you conducted yourself in the past, trust me, men of value that are looking for sustainable relationships, one of which, if they want to get married, don't end a divorce, will be checking out your goddamn past. Absolutely. We are running the Carfax, aka the Hofax. Hello. Anyway, let's get back up into this reaction regarding hookup culture, because I think that it is important throughout all of this, because we do a lot of content on the internet today, which speaks about the ill fate of those that just took the feminist narrative by the horns and they ran with it. And a lot of these young women are hitting the goddamn wall, but this is a younger woman. And I want to hear her thoughts regarding the hookup culture that was ushered forward by these deviant personalities within the media that sold you a dream while involving themselves in a weird ass culture that puts that shit up on a pedestal. But meanwhile, in your average at best life, it didn't benefit you at all. But you continue not to hold these women accountable for lying to you and leading you down a shitty path. You say, oh, it's growth. But let's listen to the words.
As women, the more you're participating in hookup culture, the more issues you tend to have with the opposite sex. I can bet you, if you're participating in hookup culture, that you trust men less, because usually what happens for a lot of women is they sleep with men too early. They sleep with them when they think that, like, oh, if I sleep with him, then maybe he'll give me this, or maybe he'll treat me this way. Then we'll start going on dates. Then he'll start giving me the things that I want. And even if you're convincing yourself that you don't even want those things, a lot of times for women, again, because of the way that we're wired, sex is going to release oxytocin. It's going to release these things that makes you feel more emotionally connected with someone than you actually are.
And here's the thing, is that you got to think to yourself, well, why do they think like that, right? You have a biological imperative to not give away that makes you want relationships. Got it. But you're a lot more emotional in nature. You are less likely, biologically, to have sex with a man and not get your feelings involved. But these women are thinking that, let me leverage the insides of my body to get a relationship out of him, which is why the situationship culture within modern dating culture today is as large and as widespread as what it was. Yeah, sure, you could think that all you want. I'm gonna go deep inside vehemently and honestly for as long as what I can, as long as what you allow me. But they're taking cues out of the modern culture as to say, runs the world. So why can't I run this man or capture this man by using my pussy?
A lot of women, it's not like, oh, I'm just hooking up with everybody, whatever. It's usually just like one or two guys, or like you're like in a situationship, right? And you're wondering, why is he not actually treating me the way that I want him to treat me? Why does he not actually want to be in a relationship?
Rihanna's
Why does he only seem to, you know, respect me to a certain extent? You question these things, but you don't understand that the way men are wired is different than the way women are wired. Men are more, when you think about feminine and masculine energy, men are much more of this earth. They're much more of the physical realm. They're much more of just physical. When you think about the physical 3D reality, men are much more rooted in that reality. Women may know.
Men are rooted in reality. Listen to what she just said.
Notice just over cultures, over history, right? When you look at different civilizations, women are typically the ones who are more connected to a higher power. They're more connected. They're like the witches, right? When you think about women and our just the feminine energy, it's a lot more spiritually in tune. And so when you think about this, right? When you think about the relationship between men and women, men are more like, they will have sex with almost anything, right? We know this. And so when you think about it, if you, again, as a woman, sleep with a man because he bought you a drink that night or because he took you on one date, that's signaling in a man's brain that that's all he needs to do in order to gain you, because you as a woman are the prize and men are.
I agree with her right there, right? So what she's saying is that men are much more grounded. She said earth, but it's like grounded in realism, reality. So if you show me that you're easy, then why would I want to pay a higher cost with time, energy, attention, affection, if you show me how easy that you are? This is just basic logic. She also tried to throw in there that men will have sex with anything. And I will admit, you know, I've seen some of my guy friends take down some behemoths, right? But that's our biological shit as well, right? Like, God made it so, hey, listen, we're going to have you populate the earth. That means that when your downstairs head starts to think more than your upstairs head, you begin to transition 2s and 3s and the 6s and 7s until that nut get busted and you get the absolute wake-up call right there in that moment. But yes, women are a lot more emotional, feeling connection. Butter, cocoa butter, sister, queen, ethereal goddess, shea butter, ocean. Oh, what is your star, Cancer, circle, symbol, sign? All of that shit. Yeah, they're connected more to the feelings base, which makes sense why they're so much more easier to become groupies to these women that lie to them with the bait and the switch. Shout out again to Rihanna. Let's keep going.
Are wired to chase, right? They want to receive the prize. And honestly, at the end of the day, I know people don't want to hear it. It sounds really old school, whatever, but like the ultimate prize for men is sex. Like it's your body. Like that's just the truth. At the end of the day, back in the day, you know, men would have to go and slay dragons and go fight, you know, they'd have to go to someone's family and talk to them and present documents. And like other cultures still to this day, it's a way bigger deal for a man to even be able to spend time with a woman alone. But in the West, we have normalized these things so much to a point where men can access women and can get things so much easier. So of course, when we look at the dating market and we look at the fact that like, oh, why don't men treat women the same anymore? Why don't men like women as much as they used to, as much as they used to? It's because women are more available to men. Like at the end of the day, women control the dating market. If all women decided today that they're not going to participate,
women control the sex market. Both men and women control the dating market because we're both deciding who to date with.
In hookup culture, I can bet you all men would suddenly be treating women like queens. It would, like, the entire world would change. The world would probably be healed, honestly. Like literally in other countries, when you look at like I think it's Korea, a lot of women are just not, they're like literally protesting the system by not sleeping with men and by not having babies. And that's literally like changing society there. Like things, it's like a big deal.
You know, I just thought about as well, I heard an Andrew Tate quote where he says something like, most of the world would fix its problems if women were walking around with their body counts on their head. It would be the ultimate shaming tool, or the ultimate tool to enforce modesty, because everyone would have the truth as to how she treats herself.
Women the same anymore. Why don't men like women as much as they used to, as much as they used to? It's because women are more available to men. Like at the end of the day, women control the dating market. If all women decided today that they're not going to participate in hookup culture, I can bet you all men would suddenly be treating women like queens.
But would men be treating women better that they thought weren't easy? Yes. Listen, at the end of the day, we're human beings. We work off of a system of incentivizations. For example, let's say that the requirements to get into Ivy League schools, such as a Princeton, just went away. Do you think students would try as hard to get high GPAs or high SAT scores to get into those schools if there were no requirements? So because there are requirements, you are incentivized to study hard and get good grades. Situationship culture in modern times today is complained on by modern women, but it has been started, initiated, and maintained by modern women. So they blame men for having situationships when it's y'all that allow it, as per a dame by your feminist bosses and your feminist leaders. They made it cool for y'all to lead with y'all dicks, with your masculinity. Like you can have as much of a body count as I can, or you don't have the emotionality as what you do, and you're more even like a man. When it comes to sexual experiences, it's all a lie, and you bid it hook, line, and stinker.
Again, women, at the end of the day, we hold so much power. We control how this entire world operates.
That's actually not
true. But
true.
Because of the patriarchy, we've literally forgotten about our power, right? We've forgotten who it is that we are. We've forgotten our worth. Even when men participate in hookup culture, they're damaging themselves as well, because then they don't trust women as much. They don't see the value in women as much. It's literally damaged the way that they see the opposite sex. We've been led to believe that like it's normal to hate each other, but we operate our best when we come together and when we actually love each other. Like the relationship between men, like we need each other at the end of the day. I think we've hypersexualized women. Men have mental health issues. They don't feel like they can even provide. Like men struggle with their own things, right? And this has created just this very unhealthy relationship between men and women. And I think that it's honestly purposeful, and I think that it damages, again, especially communities of color, way more than it damages other communities.
What I find interesting about what she says is that she blames the patriarchy for this lack of modesty of women today, or this normalization of hookup culture. When the patriarchy in the West was established, women were at their most modest. The patriarchy instills frameworks, instills rules, albeit rules that were disproportionately male beneficial, but it is not because of the patriarchy that women are now not modest. This is just made up shit. In fact, it is through ideologies pushed by feminists as to why women are no longer as modest as what they used to be previously. Women that are pushing that you need to be equal in every facet to a man is that reason. It is not the patriarchy. You're just saying feminist glow words that they've brainwashed you to say. I want to be clear. I am not an advocate for the unequal rights of men to women within society today. But to mischaracterize patriarchy in relation to modern women's modesty is wrong, just flat out. But again, attaches how men are at fault for something that y'all need to take accountability for.
A lot of people in this generation who literally are struggling to love, they're struggling to trust other people, they're struggling with their own limiting beliefs, so they don't even know how to invite love into their own life. We think that we don't need each other, we're listening to too much Future, too much Drake, whatever, and then it gets to a point where it's like, oh, I'm whatever age, and then you realize like, oh, actually I'm lonely, or actually, you know, maybe I do want love in my life. Like everybody does, you know, but I think a lot of people have just become desensitized. And the media, the porn industry, just a lot of things have really, really, really done a number on our generation. I'm just saying this all to say that, like, if you find, like, I think one of the easiest fixes that you can make when it comes to all of this and just healing your relationship with love and attracting more love into your life is raising your standards and not just allowing anybody into your space and not just allowing anybody into your energy and your body, right? Again, just being selective about, you know, just being more selective. I don't know. I think it really, really, really makes a huge difference. If you find yourself looking at your dating life or looking at the opposite sex and you're like, what's going on? Like, why am I not being treated the way that I want to be treated? It's because your standards are low. It's because a man bought you a drink and you think that that's enough to give him to sleep with him. And then that's what he thinks is like, oh, that's all she needs. If you really...
All right, I'm gonna pause the content right here, but I think it's a very valuable discussion that needs to be had within modern times today. I'm honestly surprised to come across videos like this up on YouTube because it represents so much of a switch of the information that I generally see women speaking about amongst each other. I'm used to just seeing a women's focused podcast where they're talking about men ain't shit, men are dogs. They're sponsored by some sex toy company and they're making the bag off of the ratchet, complemented with hearing songs in the background about their booty hole being brown. But I think regardless, it's appropriate to critique those that have taken an image of something and have put it out to an audience, because I think without that critique, it gets to go unabated, without critical thought, because of people's natural inclinations to be involved in a group. We're tribal people. We have been since the inception of humanity. And I've also learned within this conversation how often women will prescribe their power to the world. And they say things like women control the world, but really when they say that, they're saying that because they know that weak men are run by pussy. I mean, she said it to a degree within what she was saying, which is why, my G's, empty army, listen to me. Being run by the inside of a woman will be your downfall. It makes you way more controllable, way more having the ability to manipulate you, having the ability to control you, having the ability to have false allegations brought up against you. You need to rescind, relinquish, remove your proclivity to think with the wrong head, especially as you mature, especially as you become older. You have to make smarter decisions with what you do with your eggplant going into the future. There's so many women that will prescribe themselves of being the prize within this world, but never think to consider, are women still the prize that go out to the sperm banks looking for semen of a suitor that they couldn't find within real life? Who's the prize then? Questions, comments, concerns? Y'all already know what to do. Mediocre tourismreviews@gmail.com. Guys, leave your comments down below. Let's get active on this conversation. I want to see all of your thoughts, opinions, ideologies, so light up that comment box, all right? Until next time, YouTube. Peace!